What's going on, guys? Welcome back to some more videos, and in today's video, ranking all the Meliodases in the game from weakest to strongest, or whatever order I decide. As you can see down below, we have them in line of release date till current. Now, I want to say this, obviously, this is my opinion, this is what I think, this is what I believe, this is not factual, this is not based off of like data or statistics or whatever. So don't crucify me if you don't like my list. If you don't like my list, then make your own list down below in the comments. And honestly, none of these cards are bad. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say these cards are like trash, fodder. Like, they all have their own little unique gimmicks that make them viable in certain situations. Even the SR. Like, I really can't say that any of these cards are bad. So just because I put a card in C tier doesn't mean it's a bad card. It's just not as good as the other ones, in my opinion. So let's get into it. Starting from the bottom, obviously, with me, I think the worst of the bunch, opinion that is this guy. Now, by no means is he bad. He's actually not bad at all. He's just, in my opinion, the worst of the bunch. So take a look at him real quick. So look at his first two skills. Inflict damage equal to 350% of attack on one enemy and applies poison for 3 turns. Poison is 50% damage. Now, I would like this more if it was AoE, but it's not. Like, I'm not a big fan of like these status effects here, like bleed, poison, shock, because they can be easily cleansed, and you know, they really haven't been much of a factor in terms of winning battles or changing the turn of events in fights. Like, they're okay, but you know, I kind of find them more effective if they're AoE. You know, I've never really used them to a massive extent. The only effect I would use in the past, I would say, that I can think of is Jericho's bleed. Jericho does a ton of damage. So in her bleed, single target. And bleed in general is better. Like, shock sucks. Poison is not that great. Bleed is at least 80%. I don't like poison. That's all. That's why he's here. This is actually pretty good. So inflict spike. 2 times crit damage increase. Now, this is awesome because it's passive. Increase crit chance by 10% at the end of each turn, stacks up to 10 times. So he'll eventually have a 100% crit if 10 turns pass. Well, actually 7 turns, because he already has a base 30%. So, but this is pretty cool if you're like in a long duration battle. You know, like I say, like, none of these cards are bad. I just don't think this is as impressive as the other cards. It's pretty decent in my opinion. Yeah, and this is actually a really good ultimate. You know, cancels buff and stance on one enemy and inflicts this amount of damage and stuns for 1. So this is actually a really good ultimate. He's not bad. He really isn't a bad card. I just don't think he's as good as the other cards. So that's why he is, in my opinion, last. Next is going to be this guy. I think he is B tier. He's actually not a horrible card. Like, I mean, I think he's really good. So let's take a look at him, right? So inflicts weakness. Weakness is 3 times damage against debuff enemies. So this says 270%, but times this 270% by 3. Because, you know, obviously he's applying weakness, which is, you know, one of my favorite mechanics in the game. I love weakness. That's why I love the MELIODAS, because they have weakness on the ultimate. I think it's great. I think it's a great mechanic. It makes things fun. It makes you have to use a bit of strategy. So just a fun mechanic for me, and I enjoyed it a lot. He has a counter. Now, the one thing about this counter is that he doesn't taunt, but everything else is really freaking good. So rank 1, stands for 1 turn, inflict 200% attack as counter. Stands for 1 turn, now reduces 50% damage and does 300%. Rank 3, he evades damage altogether and inflicts 400%. I think that's awesome. I think that's really freaking good. Like, I love this. Like, you know, as obviously you rank up, he's either reducing damage or taking no damage at all. If this was for 2 turns, I think he'll be kind of broken. I mean, maybe not broken, but he'll be way better if this was for 2 turns. But I love this, you know, mechanic he has here. Like, his stats is really cool. Ultimate actually isn't bad either. So inflicts sever, which is 2 times crit chance. So the thing is that his passive, right, increase crit chance by 30% at the start of the next turn if the hero doesn't take damage. Now, I believe this stacks up kind of infinitely. He already has a base, what is it, 20%. So with 1 turn elapsed, he'll have 50%. Another turn elapsed, he'll have, what, 80%, and then so on and so on and so on until he takes damage. This is really freaking awesome because his ultimate 2 times crit chance, like, it's a guaranteed crit. Like, it's a guaranteed freaking crit in my opinion. Really freaking good. The one thing is that he doesn't have a debuff himself, so that he can apply his own weakness effect. You need to bring someone like a Gother or like a Gallon, or someone that has some kind of debuff so that this applies. Like, he isn't self-sufficient like a Red Demon Meliodas. Red Demon Meliodas can apply a ignite debuff, and he has weakness on the ultimate. Like, it works really well. So he's not higher because he doesn't apply any kind of debuff, and he doesn't taunt. Like, if he taunted and he debuffed, bro, he'll be like A tier in my opinion. But he's still pretty good. He's not a bad card. Moving on. Next, now, you guys might kind of disagree with this, but I'm gonna put this guy kind of A tier. I don't really like him that much, but he's not incredibly horrible, I would say. Here he is. So this guy, he's not bad. I just don't like him. That's kind of all that is. I actually summoned for him and I pulled him because, I love my DM Meliodases, but he just isn't that great in my opinion. That's all that is. Interesting passive, and we'll get to that in a second. So, inflicts damage equal to 450% of attack on one enemy. Prevents ultimate move gauge from filling up for 2 turns. So he actually applies a debuff. Yes, this is a debuff. He applies a debuff to where you cannot get an ultimate for 2 turns. This actually is pretty good. It's not bad at all. Even on the rank 1, he does it for 1 turn, which is helpful. This can save you depending on the situation. Like, it can literally save you. So I actually like this. It's not horrible. Depending on the situation, I would say. Now, this is where he kind of falls really badly for me. So it's not the fact that this is an AoE. It's a fact that the effect is kind of caca. I've never ever found Infest to be helpful, ever. I've never used Infest and it be usable. Well, I'm trying to think of a situation. I feel like there's some kind of Elizabeth fight that I believe it was helpful in. I'm trying to think. There's a situation. Like, there's one of the specific events. Like, it is very niche. Like, this isn't an effect that's going to be helpful that much in PvP or PvE. There's like maybe one event that I can't even think of right now off the top of my head that this is helpful. For the most part, he's just doing damage. Like, it's just a low multiplier, low damage multiplier, low damage multiplier. Like, he doesn't have anything that's going to take this damage even further beyond. He just has this healing disable effect, which I don't really care for. Like, I don't care for it. So whatever. I love this. I love his ultimate. It's a great ultimate. Weakness, he can debuff from the rank 2 here or rank 1. So very, very easy to get the weakness applied, and very easy to get that 3-time damage off, so he can be doing even more damage. So really freaking nice. Now the passive. During your turn, if an enemy dies with Meliodas dealing the final blow, fills the hero ultimate move orbs by the number of ultimate move the enemy had. So, you know what? It's not bad. I've just never found it to be useful, ever. I don't use him in PvP. Like, he's not anyone I use in PvP. On paper, he looks pretty good in PvP, but I've never used him because there's, in my opinion, just way better options. And in PvE, like, this isn't really that great. I've never found this to be useful ever. So he's not a bad card. I just don't find his kit to be useful. That's kind of all that is. I love that he's a green unit, and I love that he has this ultimate here. I love that he's self-sufficient with debuffing, and that's kind of it. That's literally it. I really don't know what else to say. So he is just not that great in my opinion. Now, next up, this is like I love this card. I really love this card. If it was really up to me, I would put him in God tier. I know he's not God tier. I know my bias wants him to be God tier, but I think he's A tier. Like, if I'm taking my bias out of it and just looking at him from a card, he's about right here. Maybe you can make an argument for S, but he's not God. Like, he's somewhere here, like between S and A. I'm gonna put him A because I feel like that's kind of where he deserves to land. Now to bring him up here, he is. So honestly, I think he's a great card. I love him. I think he's freaking amazing, but that's me being biased. Look at the card right now. So rank 3 here, inflicts damage up to 450% of attack, applies 3 ignite effects for 5 turns. 5 turns is forever. 3 ignites is a lot. Mon speed on his ultimate only applies 2 ignites, and that's a friggin' ultimate. This guy applies 2 ignites on a rank 2 ability for 4 turns. Mon speed does 4 turns on an ultimate for only 2 ignite. This guy goes up to 3 ignite for 5 turns. Like, his rank 3 is better than Mon speed's ultimate. Freaking nuts, in my opinion. I think he's awesome. Now, where he kind of just, like, where I gotta put him by his side is that, once again, I don't like infects. I keep saying infest. I don't like this ability. I've never found it to be truly useful. There's like 1 or 2 situations where it is useful, but it's not like something you really need to bring into raids and events, and like, it's not anything that's gonna be a game changer in my opinion. So this to me just a damage ability. Like, it just damage. I mean, there's units in the game who do way more damage than this, who don't obviously have any effect, or who actually does have effects. I just wish the multiplier was higher. I mean, I wish this was like 220, 300, and then like 450. He will be perfect. This would be a different conversation if this multiplier was higher, but it's not. So yeah. I love this ultimate. This is one of my favorite ultimates in the game. It just does tons of damage. So nothing bad to say here. I love this ultimate. It's amazing. It's freaking awesome. His passive, I feel, could have been better. Increases crit chance by 50% for each dead ally. So he already has like a base. Okay, he has a base 50. Okay, wow. So upon 1 enemy dying, he has a 100% chance to crit. Now this is really cool. I kind of wish, like, what would make him insane is that instead of infest, if this was like 2 times crit damage or something, like if he had the Jericho ability or something, right? No, sorry, not Jericho ability, but I forgot what the ability called, where you do like 2 times crit damage or something. Like, if you crit, is like double damage or triple damage. If he had that here, broken, busted, insane, freaking nuts, just nasty. Put him in the 4th slot. When someone dies, he comes in. He automatically would have this. He would automatically be doing tons of freaking damage, but that's not the case. He's just like taking away healing. So I like him. He's good, but he's not that great on paper, in my opinion. And that just makes him not nuts. They actually recommend that they kind of do maybe a crit build. I wish he just had crit damage on this ability, which would make him way freaking better. Then you can just focus on attack and defense. But you know, he's not horrible. He's just not that great on paper. So yeah. Moving on. Now we're gonna be treading the. You know what? This is actually pretty difficult right here. See, like, I want to put him in God. I think he's a God card, and it's only literally like 1 ability. Like, let me actually try to pull him up. Where is he at? Is this him? Like, I think he's a God card, literally for one reason, which is this right here. This ability alone, in my opinion, makes him God. I mean, like, not even considering anything else, not even considering the first skill, the passive, like, nothing else, is just this. This ability alone can solo the entire story. You can solo the entire story with just this. You can literally one-shot anything in the game if his HP is low enough and you activate this on rank 1. Literally just rank 1. I mean, this is broken. This is just broken. You know, assume the stance that triggers for 1 time. This stance will never go away until it's triggered, by the way, when attacked. Inflicts damage equal to 250% of HP diminished from max HP via counter. Like, you gotta see this in action to understand the damage. You have to see it. And this here, so check this out, okay? Increase crit chance by the ratio of the hero's diminished HP when using skill. This goes perfectly with this. Like, if your HP is low enough, bro, crit city and tons of damage. Like, you almost want to build him like crit damage. You almost want to do that because the passive and then just nuts, just a lot of damage is just insane. Like, I don't need to talk about this. I don't need to talk about this, although the multiplier is really freaking high. Like, this is Green Escanor's multiplier. It's really freaking good. Literally just this in his passive. God tier. Like, freaking nuts. This guy, for me, God tier. Why is he God tier? Well, let's bring him up and talk about him. He is Did I forget to bring him up? Here he is. Yeah, so for me, first of all, he's good because of ultimate. I love this ultimate. He is self-sufficient with debuffing. This actually debuff. But this in PvP, insta win. This in PvP, freaking broken. Not only this, but his passive as well makes him immune to debuffs. Literally immune to debuffs when he has ultimate gauge under 4. You cannot do anything here. You can't petrify him. You can't lower his attack, or you can't seal his attacks. You can't do anything. Nothing if he has 4 or less ultimate. Now, obviously, once you get over 4, you can do the stuff, but like under 4, he's invincible. This ability, like, not even looking at the rest of it, like, this stuff is really good. This is freaking awesome. I keep saying it. This is a really good ability as well, but just talking about this, piercing. 3 times pierce rate increase. Now, if you've ever fought this guy in PvP, or if you have him and use him, you understand what I'm talking about. If you have 3 of these back-to-back in PvP, just on rank 1, that's 3/4 of the enemy HP gone. Him alone can damn near solo PvP with just this skill. Look at this, like, look at his freaking unit rating. PvP on geared, perfect. PvP geared, perfect. PvE farming, perfect. Passive, perfect. He's just freaking nuts. He's not good in these boss fights, but I mean, he's a PvP killer. Like, every good, amazing PvP team has this man because of this single ability here. The passive is also really good, but he just does so much damage, bro. He just does so much freaking damage because of this single effect right here. It's nuts. The multiplier is not that great, as you can see. I mean, 100%, like, this is like Blue Diane's multiplier. It's not that great, but because he freaking penetrates so deep, pause, it is just tons of damage, like freaking insane. So in my opinion, he is a god tier card just from that one ability alone. Yeah. And lastly is this guy. I think he's S tier. Now, where's he at? He's somewhere here. Like, I just had him up. Here we go. Here he is. He's actually really insane. So, I mean, S tier is not horrible. I mean, he's S tier for a reason, because he's really freaking good. You know what? I think I'm gonna make a change. I think I'm gonna take this guy and I'm gonna put him. Nah, he's gonna stay in God. I was thinking because he's not that amazing in PvP. Like, I gotta consider PvE and PvP, right? I think he's S tier. Like, he's not great in PvP. PvP. I'm mixing up PvP and PvE. He's not great in PvP because he can be debuffed and petrified and all these other things. His stance doesn't like make him immune to debuffs or anything. I think he's S tier. Like, considering how he is in PvP, he's not the best, but he's still broken everywhere else. So let's keep that in mind. Anyways, moving on. Talking about the other red Meliodas here, which is this guy. So I might change my mind based off of his kit, but let's look at it first. All right. So first skill here. Inflicts damage equal to 240% on one enemy, okay? He does this where he fills his own ultimate gauge on his rank 2 by 1, and he fills ultimate gauge by 2. So this is actually really good. If you don't have an ultimate, but then you use this and you get 2 orbs and you have 4 already, that's an ultimate. I mean, that's an ultimate next turn. So, and the multiplier is really good. 240, 300, 500. Really freaking nice. Really good multipliers in my opinion. And I think this ability is actually useful. I don't have him, but I've used him as a friend. And it's coming clutch, I must say. It does work, so I like it. Now, this is where things get a little wacky. So, inflicts charge. Does, on the rank 3, obviously, 325% to all enemies. So, charge is pretty much ignoring defense. So, he does pretty good damage. He does really freaking good damage. Like, I've used this guy, once again, as a friend because I don't have my own, and this ability is like, I mean, it's almost equal to the Blue Demon Meliodas' damage output in terms of him like penetrating their pierce rate or whatever. It's really good ability in my opinion. I just don't think it's like nuts, but it's really freaking good. Now, he's the only Meliodas in the game that has this specific ultimate. All the other ones are pretty much copy and paste, in my opinion, but this one is pretty different. So, inflicts secret technique, which is increased damage dealt with 20% per this unit's or this hero's skill cards in hand. So, the more of this specific Meliodas skill cards you have in your hand, the higher the multiplier by 20% per. So, really freaking good. You can max this out by obviously 450%, but it can go higher depending on how much skill cards you have of this specific unit. It's an AoE as well, and he has like this Gogeta effect where he's effective towards all typing, so he will always do base damage, either base damage or typing advantage. So really awesome, really freaking cool. Passive: increase skill rank of the hero if the hero receives crit damage. So he's pretty much going to rank up his own skill cards if he gets critted, which is interesting. Crits in PvE aren't, well, they're common enough. I don't want to say they're not common, like they're common enough to where it works and it's useful. You know, I don't like units who have passives that just don't help me out at all. Like, for example, Green Guild Thunder's passive is just useful in PvP. It doesn't help me anywhere else. I love Green Guild Thunder. I use him for Grey Demon. I use him for other things. But his passive is dead anywhere else outside of PvP. His passive can be used anywhere. So I love units that have this passive to where it's just like it just applies no matter what. So as long as he gets crit, as long as he gets critted, then he will have his skills rank up, which is really freaking awesome. So he's good. I like him. I just don't think he's like God tier. I guess the only God tier card would be this guy. But I mean, if you consider the Blue Demon Meliodas in PvE, he's still really good. He's just not really good on the boss fights. But, you know, I think he's God tier. So this is my list, guys. Let me know what you think down below. If you disagree with me, then let me know why. Don't just say this list sucks. Let me know what you think once again. So quick video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment down below. If you're not subscribed, make it a thing. Sub to the boy, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.